The sound of my MacBook Pro hitting the marble floor echoed through the dining room as my husband Marcus stood over the shattered remains of what he called that ridiculous hobby business. What he didn't know was that he had just destroyed the laptop containing the files for a company that had generated $2 million in revenue over the past 18 months, contracts with Fortune 500 clients, and the financial foundation that had been quietly supporting our entire lifestyle while he struggled to maintain his failing consulting practice. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from, and if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow, I've saved something extra special for you. The Easter brunch table was set with our finest china, crystal glasses catching the morning sunlight that streamed through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our Westchester County home. Extended family members filled the dining room with animated conversations about career achievements, vacation plans, and the latest neighborhood gossip. I had spent the previous evening preparing an elaborate spread of traditional dishes, from honey-glazed ham to homemade hot cross buns, ensuring that every detail reflected the gracious hosting standards that Marcus's family expected. At 34 years old, I had become accustomed to these quarterly family gatherings, where my role was clearly defined as the supportive wife who created the perfect backdrop for Marcus to showcase his professional success and social status. For 7 years of marriage, I had played this part with dedication, managing household logistics, while Marcus commanded attention with stories of his business development consulting work and his ambitious plans for expanding his practice. What none of them understood, including Marcus himself, was that the elegant lifestyle they were enjoying had been steadily transitioning from his income to mine over the past 2 years. While Marcus described his consulting work as, quote, building strategic partnerships with high-growth companies, I had quietly developed a digital marketing agency that was generating more revenue than his established practice had ever achieved. The irony was not lost on me that I was sitting at the head of a table laden with expensive food and wine, surrounded by people who viewed my work as an amusing hobby while my business was actually funding the very gathering they were enjoying. But maintaining family harmony had always taken precedence over correcting their misconceptions about my professional capabilities and financial contributions. My laptop sat discreetly beside my chair, positioned so I could monitor urgent client communications without appearing disrespectful to our guests. Easter Sunday had unfortunately coincided with the final day of a critical product launch campaign for Meridian Tech Solutions, one of my largest clients, and their marketing director had been sending updates throughout the morning about real-time performance metrics that required immediate strategic adjustments. The campaign represented 6 months of intensive collaboration and strategic planning, with a total contract value of $180,000 that would significantly impact my agency's quarterly revenue. More importantly, the success of this launch would determine whether Meridian would proceed with the 12-month retainer agreement we had been negotiating, potentially worth $720,000 in annual recurring revenue, that would solidify my agency's financial foundation and enable the team expansion I had been planning. Marcus's sister Jennifer was regaling the table with stories of her recent promotion to senior marketing director at a prestigious Manhattan advertising firm. Her husband David nodded approvingly as she described the creative campaigns she was managing and the impressive client roster that her agency served. The conversation naturally flowed toward professional achievements and career advancement strategies, topics that typically excluded me from meaningful participation. Sarah manages her little online business, Marcus would typically explain when family members inquired about my work, using a tone that suggested both affection and gentle dismissal. She helps small companies with their websites and social media presence. It keeps her busy and brings in some extra income for household expenses. This characterization had become so routine that I no longer attempted to correct it during family gatherings. The reality that my little online business had evolved into a sophisticated digital marketing agency with 12 employees, proprietary analytics platforms, and enterprise-level clients seemed too complex to explain during social conversations that were primarily focused on maintaining pleasant atmospheres rather than exploring business details. But the constant minimization of my achievements had begun to create an internal tension that was becoming increasingly difficult to manage. Every successful campaign launch, every new client acquisition, every month of revenue growth that exceeded Marcus's income created a growing disconnect between my professional reality and the social role I was expected to maintain within his family structure. My phone buzzed with another urgent message from Meridian's marketing director. The campaign metrics were exceeding projected performance by 43%, but they needed immediate approval for additional ad spend allocation to capitalize on the unexpected engagement rates. This decision would require accessing the campaign management platform on my laptop to review detailed analytics and authorize budget modifications that could significantly impact the final results. I quietly opened my laptop and began reviewing the performance data while maintaining awareness of the ongoing family conversation. The numbers were extraordinary. Our targeted demographic segments were responding to the creative messaging at rates that surpassed industry benchmarks by substantial margins. The conversion tracking indicated that the campaign was generating qualified leads at acquisition costs that were 37% below the projected thresholds. This level of performance would not only ensure the success of the current campaign, but would also provide compelling evidence for the annual retainer proposal that could transform my agency from a successful small business into a genuinely scalable enterprise. The immediate decision about additional ad spend allocation could potentially influence hundreds of thousands of dollars in future revenue and strategic positioning within the competitive digital marketing landscape. Marcus noticed my attention divided between the family gathering and my laptop screen. His expression shifted from mild irritation to visible displeasure as he watched me type responses to client communications during what he considered a sacred family occasion. His jaw tightened in the way that typically preceded uncomfortable conversations about priorities and respect for family time. "Sarah, can you please close the laptop and focus on our guests?" he said, quietly, leaning toward me with a forced smile that was intended to maintain the appearance of polite domestic harmony while clearly communicating his displeasure with my divided attention. I looked up to see several family members watching our interaction with expressions of curiosity and mild concern. The pleasant atmosphere of Easter brunch conversation had been momentarily disrupted by the obvious tension between Marcus and me regarding my work obligations and their timing relative to family commitments. "I just need 5 more minutes to handle an urgent client situation," I replied softly, attempting to minimize the disruption while completing the critical campaign adjustments that could significantly impact both immediate results and long-term business development opportunities. Marcus's face flushed with embarrassment and anger. From his perspective, I was prioritizing my hobby business over family relationships during one of the most important social gatherings of the year. He had invested considerable effort in creating the perfect Easter brunch experience for his extended family, and my divided attention was undermining the gracious hosting presentation that was essential to his social identity and family standing. "This is exactly what I mean about boundaries," he said, his voice rising slightly despite his obvious attempt to maintain composure in front of our guests. "Your little computer projects are taking over every aspect of our lives. We can't even have a family meal without you working on websites or whatever it is you do up there all day." The dismissive reference to my little computer projects stung with particular intensity because I was simultaneously watching real-time data that demonstrated the sophisticated strategic thinking and execution capabilities that my work actually required. The campaign performance metrics displayed on my screen represented months of market research, creative development, technical implementation, and strategic optimization that had generated measurable business results for a Fortune 500 client. But attempting to explain the complexity and significance of my work during a family gathering would only escalate the conflict and create additional social tension that would damage relationships beyond the immediate disagreement. Marcus had never shown genuine interest in understanding the details of my business operations, and his family members had no context for appreciating the strategic sophistication that digital marketing required at the enterprise level. "I understand your concern about timing," I said carefully, continuing to monitor the urgent client communications while attempting to de-escalate the growing tension. "But this campaign launch represents a significant business opportunity that requires immediate attention. I can complete the necessary adjustments in just a few minutes." Marcus stood abruptly, his chair scraping against the hardwood floor with a harsh sound that commanded the attention of every person at the table. The pleasant Easter brunch atmosphere was now completely overshadowed by the marital conflict that was unfolding in front of his extended family members, creating exactly the kind of social embarrassment that he had always worked to avoid. "This is unacceptable," he declared, his professional composure finally abandoning him completely. "I have had enough of this obsession with your computer games. We have responsibilities to our family and our social obligations that take priority over your hobby projects." The characterization of my million-dollar business as, quote, computer games and hobby projects revealed the fundamental disconnect between Marcus's perception of my work and the reality of what I had accomplished during the years he had been struggling to maintain his own consulting practice. His dismissive language demonstrated that he had never made any genuine effort to understand the scope, sophistication, or financial significance of the digital marketing agency I had built. But more troubling was his assertion that my business obligations were somehow incompatible with family responsibilities, as if professional success and personal relationships existed in perpetual conflict, rather than potentially supporting each other through financial stability and personal fulfillment. His framework assumed that my work was inherently selfish while his work was inherently necessary, despite the reality that my income had become the primary source of our financial security. Preparing and narrating this story took us a lot of time, so if you are enjoying it, subscribe to our channel. It means a lot to us. Now back to the story. Marcus, I need you to understand that this is not a hobby, I said firmly, closing the laptop but keeping my hand protectively on the cover. This is a legitimate business with real clients and significant revenue. I take these responsibilities seriously because they impact people's livelihoods and business success. The silence that followed was profound and uncomfortable. Every family member was watching our confrontation with expressions ranging from curiosity to concern to outright embarrassment. The elegant Easter brunch that Marcus had envisioned as a showcase of domestic harmony had become a public display of marital discord that would undoubtedly become the subject of family discussions for months to come. Marcus's face was now completely flushed with anger and humiliation. From his perspective, I had not only disrespected family time, but had also challenged his authority in front of the people whose opinions mattered most to his social identity. The combination of professional frustration, social embarrassment, and wounded pride created a volatile emotional state that overwhelmed his typical self-control mechanisms. I am tired of this ridiculous fantasy, he said, his voice now loud enough to silence all other conversation in the room. You spend 12 hours a day playing on that computer, pretending to run some kind of business empire, while I work real jobs with real clients to support our actual lifestyle. This ends today. Before I could respond or protect my equipment, Marcus grabbed my laptop from the table and lifted it above his head. The gesture was so sudden and unexpected that I had no opportunity to prevent what happened next. With a violent motion that demonstrated the full extent of his frustration and anger, he hurled my MacBook Pro toward the marble floor with enough force to ensure its complete destruction. The sound of the impact was devastating. The laptop struck the floor with a sharp crack that was immediately followed by the scattered tinkling of broken glass and plastic components bouncing across the hardwood. The destruction was total and irreversible, with the screen completely shattered and the keyboard separated from the base in a way that indicated extensive internal damage to the logic board and storage components. The silence that followed was even more profound than before. Every person at the table stared at the destroyed laptop in shock and disbelief. Marcus himself seemed surprised by the violence of his own action, as if the physical destruction had exceeded his conscious intention and revealed depths of resentment and frustration that he had not fully acknowledged even to himself. I stared at the shattered remains of my laptop with a mixture of horror and clarity that crystallized everything I had been avoiding about my marriage and my life. The destroyed computer contained not only the files and applications necessary for managing my business operations, but also represented Marcus's fundamental contempt for my professional achievements and his willingness to use destructive force to maintain control over my priorities and aspirations. But more than the immediate practical damage, the laptop destruction revealed the complete impossibility of maintaining both my marriage and my business success within the current dynamic. Marcus had demonstrated that he viewed my professional growth as a direct threat to his identity and social standing, and that he was prepared to use destructive tactics to prevent my continued development as an independent entrepreneur. The family members began to murmur among themselves, uncertain how to respond to the shocking display of domestic violence they had just witnessed. Jennifer looked genuinely concerned about my well-being, while David appeared uncomfortable with the aggressive behavior Marcus had displayed. The elegant Easter brunch had been completely overshadowed by an act of destruction that would forever change how these relationships functioned. As I knelt beside the destroyed laptop, carefully gathering the scattered components that might contain recoverable data, I realized that Marcus had inadvertently provided me with the clarity I had been avoiding for months. The laptop could be replaced, the files could be recovered from backup systems, and the client campaigns could be managed from alternative devices. But the marriage that required me to minimize my achievements and accept destructive responses to my professional success could not be salvaged. The man who had destroyed my laptop in a fit of rage had no idea that he had just eliminated the final obstacle to my complete professional independence and personal freedom. The business he had dismissed as computer games was about to become the foundation for a life that no longer required his approval or financial support. Marcus stood over the debris with an expression that mixed satisfaction with growing uncertainty about the consequences of his destructive action. He had successfully demonstrated his disapproval of my business activities, but he had also revealed aspects of his character that would make it impossible for our relationship to continue on any terms that would allow my continued professional development. The Easter brunch that was supposed to celebrate renewal and family harmony had instead become the moment when I finally understood that my marriage and my business success were fundamentally incompatible, and that choosing between them was no longer a decision I could postpone. The sound of my laptop hitting the marble floor had been the sound of my old life ending and my new life beginning. Even though Marcus had no idea what he had actually set in motion with his moment of destructive rage, the shattered remnants of my laptop lay scattered across the marble floor as the last of Marcus's family members awkwardly excused themselves from the ruins of Easter brunch. The elegant dining room that had hosted dozens of celebratory gatherings over the years now felt like a crime scene, with broken technology components serving as evidence of the violence that had erupted beneath the surface of our seemingly perfect marriage. Marcus had retreated to his home office immediately after his destructive outburst, leaving me alone to contemplate the full implications of what had just occurred. The laptop destruction had been intended as a definitive statement about priorities and boundaries, but it had actually revealed the fundamental incompatibility between my professional ambitions and the domestic role that he required me to maintain within his family structure. As I carefully collected the scattered pieces of my destroyed computer, I experienced a clarity that had been building for months but had never crystallized into conscious recognition. The business that Marcus had dismissed as computer games and hobby projects had evolved into something far more significant than either of us had fully acknowledged. The laptop he had destroyed contained the operational infrastructure for an enterprise that had quietly become the primary source of our financial stability. The irony was profound and undeniable. While Marcus struggled to maintain his consulting practice and worried about client retention and revenue consistency, I had built a digital marketing agency that generated more income than his established business had ever achieved. The elegant lifestyle that his family admired and the social status that he worked so hard to maintain were increasingly dependent on the success of the work he had just attempted to destroy. But the laptop destruction had also eliminated the last psychological barrier that had prevented me from pursuing complete professional independence. For 7 years, I had maintained the fiction that my business was secondary to our marriage and subordinate to his career priorities. The violence of his response to my Easter Sunday work obligations had demonstrated that this arrangement was not only unsustainable, but actively destructive to both my professional potential and personal well-being. The immediate practical challenge was managing the crisis that his destructive action had created for my client obligations. The Meridian Tech Solutions campaign was still running with performance metrics that required constant monitoring and strategic adjustments throughout the launch weekend. My other clients had ongoing projects and campaign management needs that could not be postponed while I dealt with domestic conflict and equipment replacement. I retrieved my backup iPad from the kitchen charging station and began the process of logging into cloud-based systems that would allow me to maintain essential business operations while arranging for immediate laptop replacement. The redundancy systems I had implemented over the past 2 years meant that most of my critical files and applications were accessible through alternative devices, but the workflow disruption would require extensive time and energy to resolve completely. As I navigated through backup systems and emergency protocols, I began to appreciate the sophistication of the business infrastructure I had developed during the years when Marcus and his family had viewed my work as amateur hobby activities. The digital marketing agency that they dismissed as playing on computers had evolved into a comprehensive enterprise with proprietary analytics platforms, automated workflow systems, and redundant operational capabilities that could withstand significant disruptions. More importantly, the financial performance data that I accessed through my emergency systems revealed the true scope of what Marcus had attempted to destroy. Over the past 18 months, my agency had generated $247 million in gross revenue across 12 major client accounts. The net profit margins averaged 38%, which meant that my supposedly amateur business activities had produced more than $470,000 in actual income during a period when Marcus's consulting practice had struggled to maintain consistent monthly revenue above $8,000. The disparity between our respective business performance had been growing steadily over the past 2 years, but I had never forced direct comparisons that might threaten his professional identity or social standing within his family structure. Instead, I had quietly transferred money into our joint accounts and covered household expenses, while allowing him to maintain the narrative that his work was supporting our lifestyle and my business was providing supplementary income for discretionary spending. This financial arrangement had enabled domestic harmony, but had also created the psychological framework that made his destructive response possible. By accepting the characterization of my work as secondary and subordinate, I had inadvertently encouraged him to view my professional success as something that could be controlled or eliminated according to his preferences about family priorities and social obligations. The Easter brunch destruction had shattered this arrangement as completely as it had destroyed my laptop. The violence of his response had demonstrated that he viewed my professional growth as a direct threat to his identity and authority within our marriage. More troubling, his willingness to destroy my business equipment suggested that he would continue to escalate his efforts to control my professional activities unless I accepted permanent limitations on my entrepreneurial ambitions. But the business performance data displayed on my iPad screen provided compelling evidence that such limitations were no longer financially necessary or strategically advisable. The digital marketing agency that Marcus had attempted to destroy was generating sufficient income to support complete financial independence, eliminating the economic constraints that had originally justified my acceptance of a subordinate role within our marriage. The Meridian campaign metrics continued to exceed projected performance throughout the afternoon, with conversion rates that suggested the launch would become a case study in successful strategic implementation. The real-time results provided validation that my work was not only financially successful but also professionally sophisticated, in ways that Marcus had never bothered to understand or acknowledge. By evening, I had successfully managed the immediate crisis created by the laptop destruction and had arranged for emergency equipment delivery that would restore full operational capabilities within 24 hours. But more importantly, I had spent the afternoon reviewing comprehensive business performance data that revealed the true scope of what I had accomplished during the years when my achievements had been systematically minimized and dismissed. The digital marketing agency that had been characterized as computer games actually employed 12 full-time contractors across specialized roles including graphic design, content creation, analytics management, client relations, and strategic planning. The team structure I had developed included redundant capabilities and cross-training protocols that ensured consistent service delivery even during equipment failures or personnel changes. The client portfolio included enterprises with annual revenues ranging from $50 million to $8 billion, across industries including healthcare technology, financial services, manufacturing, and professional consulting. The strategic work I performed for these organizations included comprehensive market research, competitive analysis, creative campaign development, and performance optimization that required sophisticated understanding of consumer psychology, market dynamics, and technology implementation. The proprietary analytics platforms I had developed provided clients with measurement and optimization capabilities that exceeded what they could access through traditional advertising agencies or in-house marketing departments. These tools had become significant competitive advantages that enabled client retention rates above 94% and generated referral business that accounted for more than 60% of new client acquisitions. The intellectual property I had created included methodology frameworks, analytical tools, and strategic processes that could be licensed or franchised to other marketing professionals seeking to replicate similar results for their client bases. The business model that had emerged from my basement experiments and client development efforts had evolved into a scalable enterprise with multiple revenue streams and expansion opportunities that Marcus had never recognized or acknowledged. Most significantly, the financial projections based on current client contracts and pipeline opportunities suggested that my agency would generate more than $2.3 million in revenue over the following 18 months, with net profit margins that could exceed 50% through operational efficiency improvements and strategic service expansion. These numbers represented more than business success. They represented complete financial independence and the economic foundation necessary to pursue professional growth, without requiring approval or support from anyone who questioned my capabilities or attempted to limit my ambitions. The laptop destruction that was intended to control my priorities had actually revealed the extent of my freedom to choose alternatives that better supported my professional development. But the data also revealed something more profound about the relationship between recognition and achievement. The sophisticated business enterprise I had built had developed and thrived, despite being systematically dismissed and undervalued by the people closest to me. The lack of recognition had not prevented success, but it had prevented me from fully appreciating the significance of what I had accomplished. The client testimonials and performance metrics documented on my backup systems provided compelling evidence that my work was not only financially successful but also professionally respected by organizations that understood the complexity and strategic value of digital marketing at the enterprise level. The disconnect between family perceptions and professional reality had created a psychological framework that minimized my achievements even to myself. The laptop destruction had eliminated this psychological barrier as completely as it had destroyed the physical equipment. For the first time in 7 years, I was evaluating my professional capabilities and business performance without filtering the assessment through concerns about family harmony or social expectations about appropriate priorities for married women. The results of this unfiltered evaluation were both liberating and overwhelming. The business that had been dismissed as playing on computers was actually a sophisticated enterprise that generated sufficient income to support any lifestyle I chose to pursue. The work that had been characterized as hobby projects was actually professional consulting that influenced strategic decisions for major corporations and generated measurable business results that exceeded industry benchmarks. The woman who had been characterized as the lucky wife riding her husband's financial coattails was actually an entrepreneur whose business success had quietly become the foundation for the lifestyle that enabled such characterizations to persist. The Easter brunch destruction had shattered not only my laptop but also the illusions that had prevented me from recognizing the true scope of my professional achievements and economic independence. The question was no longer whether I possessed the capabilities and resources necessary for complete financial independence. The question was whether I possessed the courage to acknowledge these capabilities publicly and pursue professional growth without regard for the approval of people who had demonstrated their willingness to use destructive tactics to maintain control over my priorities and aspirations. The shattered laptop on the marble floor had provided the answer to that question with unmistakable clarity. The marriage that required me to minimize my achievements and accept destructive responses to my professional success was incompatible with the business growth and personal fulfillment that I was now prepared to pursue without compromise or limitation. The emergency replacement laptop arrived from the Apple Store at 9 o'clock Monday morning, delivered by a technician who seemed puzzled about why someone would need immediate setup assistance for what appeared to be a routine equipment upgrade. I provided no explanation for the urgency, focusing instead on the systematic restoration of business operations that had been disrupted by Marcus's destructive response to my professional obligations. As I transferred files from cloud backup systems and reconfigured client management platforms, I began to recognize that the laptop destruction had created an unexpected opportunity for strategic planning that extended far beyond immediate crisis management. The forced interruption of normal business routines had provided the mental space necessary to evaluate the fundamental structure of my professional and personal circumstances without the distraction of daily operational demands. The results of this evaluation were both clarifying and motivating. The digital marketing agency that Marcus had attempted to destroy was generating sufficient income to support complete financial independence, while the marriage that demanded subordination of my professional ambitions was creating increasingly destructive constraints on my business development and personal fulfillment. The choice between maintaining domestic harmony and pursuing professional growth had become a false dilemma that could only be resolved through strategic action. But achieving genuine independence would require more than acknowledging my business success or even dissolving my marriage. It would require systematic planning and execution of a comprehensive transition strategy that addressed legal, financial, operational, and personal considerations, while protecting my client relationships and preserving the business momentum I had worked years to develop. The complexity of this transition demanded the same strategic thinking and project management capabilities that I had developed through years of managing sophisticated marketing campaigns for enterprise clients. The Liberation Project would require careful planning, precise execution, and contingency protocols that could address potential complications while maintaining progress toward clearly defined objectives. The first phase involved comprehensive documentation of my business assets, financial position, and legal rights within the marriage structure that I was planning to dissolve. The laptop destruction had demonstrated that Marcus viewed my business equipment and intellectual property as household assets subject to his control and approval. Protecting these resources during a potentially contentious divorce would require careful legal planning and strategic asset management. I spent the morning consulting with Helen Rodriguez, a family law attorney who specialized in high-asset divorces involving business ownership and intellectual property disputes. Helen's reputation for aggressive client advocacy and sophisticated understanding of complex financial arrangements made her the ideal advisor for navigating the challenges that would inevitably arise when Marcus discovered the true scope of my business success and financial independence. Helen's initial assessment confirmed my suspicions about the legal complications that would emerge during divorce proceedings. "Sarah, your husband's destruction of business equipment could be classified as economic abuse or intentional interference with business operations," she explained during our consultation. "But more importantly, his apparent ignorance about your business income creates discovery opportunities that could significantly influence asset division and support obligations." The strategic implications were significant and somewhat ironic. Marcus's systematic dismissal of my business achievements had prevented him from understanding the financial arrangements that had actually been supporting our lifestyle. The divorce process would require comprehensive disclosure of income, assets, and business valuations that would reveal not only my financial independence, but also the extent to which his social status and lifestyle had been dependent on the work he had attempted to destroy. But Helen also emphasized the importance of maintaining complete confidentiality about my financial position and divorce planning until all protective measures were in place. "Your husband's violent response to your work obligations suggests that he might escalate his controlling behavior if he discovers your true financial position or independence planning," she warned. "We need to complete all legal preparations before he becomes aware of what you're actually planning." This requirement for secrecy aligned perfectly with my natural preference for systematic planning and careful execution. The Liberation Project would be conducted with the same methodical approach that had enabled my business success, with detailed protocols and contingency planning that could address complications while maintaining progress toward complete independence. The second phase involved strategic business planning that would ensure my agency's continued growth and development during the personal transition period. The divorce process would inevitably create disruptions and distractions that could affect client relationships and operational efficiency if not managed proactively through advanced planning and resource allocation. I began by reviewing all active contracts and identifying potential vulnerability points where personal disruption might affect service delivery or client satisfaction. The Meridian campaign had demonstrated that my clients expected consistent availability and immediate responsiveness regardless of personal circumstances. Maintaining this service standard during divorce proceedings would require additional staff support and operational redundancy that could prevent any decline in business performance. The solution involved accelerating team expansion plans that I had been considering for the following quarter. Rather than gradual hiring and training processes, I would immediately recruit 3 additional contractors with specialized capabilities in areas where I typically provided direct personal service. This expansion would create operational buffers that could maintain service quality even if divorce proceedings required significant time and attention. More importantly, the team expansion would demonstrate to clients that my agency was growing and developing additional capabilities rather than being limited by any personal circumstances. The business momentum that had been building over the past 18 months would continue without interruption, ensuring that professional relationships remained strong regardless of changes in my personal situation. The third phase involved financial planning that would maximize my economic independence while minimizing potential complications during asset division proceedings. The systematic undervaluation of my business by Marcus and his family had created information asymmetries that could be strategically advantageous during divorce negotiations, but only if properly documented and legally protected. I scheduled comprehensive business valuations with certified appraisers who specialized in digital marketing agencies and professional service firms. These valuations would provide authoritative assessments of my business worth that could not be dismissed or minimized during divorce proceedings, regardless of Marcus's opinions about the significance of my professional activities. The valuation process also revealed aspects of my business development that I had not fully appreciated while focusing on daily operational demands. The proprietary analytics platforms, client relationship systems, and methodology frameworks I had developed represented intellectual property assets with significant independent value beyond the immediate income they generated through client services. The appraisers estimated that my agency's total value, including tangible assets and intellectual property, exceeded $1.8 million based on current revenue streams and projected growth trajectories. This valuation transformed my business from a successful income source into a substantial asset base that could support long-term financial security and continued professional development without requiring any external support or approval. But the valuation also highlighted the strategic importance of protecting my intellectual property and client relationships during the divorce process. The systems and processes I had developed were the foundation of my business value, and any disruption to these assets could significantly impact both immediate income and long-term growth potential. The fourth phase involved operational planning that would ensure seamless business continuity during personal transition. The divorce process would require court appearances, legal meetings, and extensive documentation that could interfere with client service delivery if not carefully managed through advanced planning and delegation protocols. I began cross-training team members in client management systems and strategic decision-making processes that I had previously handled exclusively through personal involvement. This delegation would not only provide operational flexibility during divorce proceedings, but would also create scalable management systems that could support future business growth beyond current capacity limitations. The delegation process revealed that my team members possessed capabilities and insights that I had not fully utilized, while maintaining direct control over all strategic functions. Their perspectives on client needs and service improvement opportunities provided valuable input for business development planning that extended far beyond the immediate independence project. Most importantly, the operational improvements I implemented during this planning phase demonstrated that my business success was not dependent on my marriage or personal circumstances. The agency had developed into a sustainable enterprise with systems and capabilities that could continue growing regardless of changes in my personal situation. By the end of the week, I had established comprehensive legal protection, accelerated business development, completed financial planning, and implemented operational improvements that transformed my professional situation from dependent wife with successful hobby business to independent entrepreneur with substantial assets and unlimited growth potential. The laptop destruction that Marcus had intended as a definitive statement about priorities and boundaries had inadvertently triggered the most productive strategic planning period of my entire career. The violence that was meant to control my ambitions had actually eliminated the psychological barriers that had prevented me from pursuing complete professional independence. The liberation project that emerged from the Easter brunch destruction would not only dissolve the marriage that limited my potential, but would also establish the foundation for business growth and personal fulfillment that exceeded anything I had previously considered possible. The woman who had been dismissed as playing computer games was about to demonstrate the strategic planning and execution capabilities that would transform her life and challenge every assumption that had been made about her potential and priorities. The secret project that began with emergency laptop replacement had evolved into comprehensive independence planning that would redefine every aspect of my professional and personal circumstances. Marcus's destructive response to my work obligations had unknowingly initiated the process that would eliminate his ability to influence or control my business success and personal choices. The morning Marcus left for his 3-day business conference in Chicago marked the beginning of the most transformative 72 hours of my professional career. His absence provided the uninterrupted time and mental space necessary to execute the comprehensive business analysis that had been developing since the laptop destruction incident. What I discovered during those 3 days would fundamentally alter my understanding of my own capabilities and reshape my vision for the future. With Marcus away and the house completely quiet, I established a temporary command center in the living room, spreading financial documents, client contracts, and performance analytics across the dining table that had hosted the Easter brunch confrontation just 2 weeks earlier. The irony was not lost on me that the same space where my laptop had been destroyed would become the setting for discoveries that would validate everything Marcus had attempted to dismiss. The systematic analysis began with comprehensive revenue tracking across all client accounts for the previous 24 months. The data that emerged painted a picture of business growth that exceeded even my optimistic projections. The digital marketing agency that had been characterized as computer games had generated $1.847 million in gross revenue since January of the previous year, with monthly growth rates that averaged 18% across all service categories. But the revenue numbers, impressive as they were, represented only the surface level of what I had accomplished. The deeper analysis revealed operational efficiency metrics that demonstrated sophisticated business management capabilities I had not fully recognized in myself. The profit margins on client work averaged 42%, significantly higher than industry standards for comparable agencies, indicating that my pricing strategies and cost management systems were exceptionally well calibrated. More significantly, the client retention statistics showed that my agency had maintained 96% retention rates across the portfolio, with average contract values increasing by 31% annually through expanded service offerings and strategic account development. These numbers represented not just financial success, but professional credibility that would be impossible to achieve through luck or amateur efforts. The breakthrough moment came when I began analyzing the intellectual property value embedded within my business operations. The proprietary analytics platforms I had developed for client reporting and campaign optimization represented sophisticated technological solutions that could be licensed independently of my consulting services. The methodology frameworks I had created for market research and creative strategy development constituted systematic approaches that other marketing professionals would pay substantial fees to access and implement. I had unknowingly created a business model that generated revenue through multiple streams while building asset value that extended far beyond immediate client services. The computer systems Marcus had dismissed as playing games actually housed intellectual property worth potentially millions of dollars in licensing and franchising opportunities that I had never seriously considered pursuing. This realization prompted me to contact Dr. Michael Thompson, a business valuation specialist who had been recommended by Helen Rodriguez during our initial legal consultation. Dr. Thompson's expertise in technology companies and intellectual property assessment would provide the authoritative analysis necessary to understand the true scope of what I had built during the years when my achievements had been systematically minimized. The initial consultation with Dr. Thompson took place via video conference on Wednesday afternoon, with Marcus still safely away at his Chicago meetings. The conversation began with routine questions about revenue streams and operational structure, but quickly evolved into something much more significant, as Dr. Thompson recognized the sophistication of what I had developed. "Sarah, what you've described represents a highly sophisticated business model with multiple value creation mechanisms," he explained as he reviewed the preliminary data I had provided. "The combination of service revenue, proprietary technology, and systematic methodology creates enterprise value that extends well beyond traditional consulting practices." His preliminary assessment suggested that my agency's total value, including intellectual property and growth potential, could exceed $3 million based on current performance metrics and projected market expansion opportunities. This valuation transformed my understanding of my business, from successful income source to substantial asset base that could support virtually any personal or professional goals I chose to pursue. But Drive Thompson also identified opportunities for value enhancement that I had not considered during my years of focusing primarily on client service delivery and operational efficiency. The analytics platforms I had developed for internal use possessed commercial potential that could generate significant licensing revenue from other marketing agencies seeking to improve their client reporting capabilities. The data visualization tools and campaign optimization algorithms you've created represent genuine competitive advantages that other professionals in your field would pay substantial fees to access, he explained. "You've essentially built technology solutions while focusing on service delivery, creating multiple revenue streams that could be developed independently. This insight led to the most profound discovery of the entire analysis period. The business I had built, while accepting characterization as amateur hobby work, actually represented innovations that could influence the entire digital marketing industry. The systematic approaches I had developed through necessity and resource constraints had produced solutions that established agencies with larger budgets had not conceived or implemented. The systematic client onboarding process I had created included psychological profiling techniques that enabled more accurate targeting and messaging strategies than conventional demographic analysis methods. The campaign performance tracking systems I had developed provided real-time optimization capabilities that exceeded what most agencies could offer their clients through traditional monitoring approaches. Most significantly, the integrated analytics platform I had built combined social media monitoring, website traffic analysis, conversion tracking, and customer behavior prediction in ways that provided clients with comprehensive strategic insights that would typically require multiple service providers and software platforms to achieve. The competitive analysis that followed revealed that agencies charging 3 to 5 times my rates were delivering less sophisticated services and generating inferior results for their clients. My systematic underpricing of services had been motivated by imposter syndrome and uncertainty about market positioning, but it had also enabled me to build an exceptionally strong client portfolio while developing operational efficiency that larger agencies could not match. This discovery prompted immediate strategic planning for pricing optimization and service expansion that could multiply revenue without proportionally increasing operational complexity. The foundation I had built through years of undervalued but sophisticated work provided the platform for scaling that could generate exponential growth rather than incremental improvement. The Thursday morning breakthrough came when I finally calculated the total economic impact of my work across all client accounts. The marketing campaigns I had developed and managed had generated more than $47 million in documented revenue for my clients over the previous 18 months. The return on investment ratios averaged between 8-to-1 and 15-to-1 across different industries and campaign types. These impact metrics represented validation that my work was not only financially successful for my own business, but was creating substantial value for client organizations that justified premium pricing and expanded service offerings. The amateur computer games that Marcus had attempted to destroy were actually sophisticated business solutions that influenced millions of dollars in client revenue and strategic decision-making. But the most profound realization emerged when I began projecting future growth potential based on current trajectory and market opportunities. The business model I had developed could scale to generate more than $10 million in annual revenue within 3 years, through strategic expansion, premium pricing, technology licensing, and methodology franchising. This growth potential represented more than financial opportunity. It represented the possibility of building a business empire that would influence industry standards and provide economic independence that exceeded anything I had previously imagined possible. The woman who had been dismissed as playing on computers possessed the capability to become one of the most successful entrepreneurs in the digital marketing sector. The comprehensive analysis concluded on Thursday evening with financial projections that demonstrated conclusively that my business success was not dependent on my marriage, my husband's approval, or the social validation of his family members. The agency I had built represented complete economic independence and unlimited growth potential that could support any lifestyle or professional goals I chose to pursue. The laptop destruction that had been intended to control my priorities had actually eliminated the psychological barriers that had prevented me from recognizing the true scope of my achievements and potential. The 3 days of uninterrupted analysis had revealed that the business I had been minimizing and apologizing for was actually a sophisticated enterprise worthy of pride, confidence, and aggressive expansion. Friday morning brought Marcus's return from Chicago, but it also brought a fundamental shift in my understanding of our relationship dynamics. The man who had destroyed my laptop in frustration about my computer games was married to a woman whose business capabilities and financial resources exceeded his own by margins that would have shocked him had he ever bothered to investigate the reality of what I had accomplished. The discovery process that began with emergency laptop replacement had evolved into comprehensive business analysis that revealed capabilities and opportunities I had never fully appreciated. The breakthrough insights about intellectual property value, market positioning, and growth potential provided the foundation for strategic planning that would transform my agency from successful small business to industry-leading enterprise. The woman who had accepted dismissive characterizations of her work had discovered that she possessed the expertise, resources, and strategic vision necessary to build a business empire that would challenge every assumption that had been made about her capabilities and potential. The computer games had evolved into a sophisticated technology platform that could influence the entire digital marketing industry. Marcus returned from Chicago with stories about potential new clients and strategic partnerships that might help his struggling consulting practice achieve greater stability and growth. But he returned to a wife who had discovered that her supposedly amateur business activities represented innovation, sophistication, and financial success that exceeded anything his professional network could provide or support. The breakthrough discovery that emerged from 3 days of systematic analysis had transformed my understanding of my own capabilities and eliminated any remaining uncertainty about the choice between maintaining my marriage and pursuing my professional potential. The business that Marcus had attempted to destroy was actually the foundation for a future that no longer required his approval, support, or recognition. The business valuation report from Dr. Thompson arrived the following Monday morning, while Marcus was reviewing his own quarterly financial statements at the kitchen table. The timing created an almost surreal juxtaposition as I opened an email containing evidence of my $3 million business valuation while he calculated commission projections that barely exceeded his monthly overhead expenses. The contrast crystallized the fundamental misalignment between perception and reality that had defined our marriage for years. The formal valuation document contained detailed analysis that validated every insight I had developed during the previous week's comprehensive business review. Dr. Thompson's assessment confirmed that my digital marketing agency represented a sophisticated enterprise with multiple revenue streams, proprietary intellectual property, and scalable growth potential that positioned it among the most successful businesses in its market segment. But theoretical valuations, however professionally conducted, required practical validation through market testing and external verification. The breakthrough discoveries about my business capabilities needed confirmation from sources beyond internal analysis and professional assessments. True validation would require demonstrating that the sophisticated business model I had developed could attract recognition and investment from established industry professionals who understood the digital marketing landscape. This validation process would test not only my business achievements but also my strategic thinking and professional communication abilities. The woman who had accepted dismissive characterizations of her work would need to present her capabilities confidently to audiences that expected sophisticated analysis and evidence-based results. The amateur computer games would need to demonstrate their value to experts who could distinguish between genuine innovation and amateur enthusiasm. The first validation opportunity emerged through an unexpected source. Jennifer Walsh, the biotechnology marketing director I had met at a networking event 6 months earlier, contacted me about potential consulting work for her company's product launch campaign. Her initial inquiry suggested a routine project engagement, but the conversation that followed revealed an opportunity for comprehensive validation of my strategic capabilities. Jennifer's company, Meridian Biosciences, was preparing to launch a revolutionary diagnostic testing platform that would compete against established market leaders with significantly larger marketing budgets and brand recognition. The launch strategy required sophisticated digital marketing approaches that could achieve maximum market penetration, while operating within resource constraints that eliminated traditional advertising options. The project parameters aligned perfectly with my agency's capabilities and provided an ideal testing ground for the strategic methodologies I had developed through years of solving complex marketing challenges for resource-constrained clients. More importantly, the project would require performance metrics and outcome documentation that would provide objective evidence of my agency's effectiveness in competitive market environments. The initial consultation with Jennifer and her executive team took place at Meridian's corporate headquarters, a gleaming facility that represented exactly the kind of professional environment where my capabilities would be evaluated according to industry standards, rather than family perceptions. The conference room where we met contained the same sophisticated technology and formal atmosphere that had intimidated me during early client presentations, but now felt familiar and comfortable. The presentation I delivered during that consultation represented the culmination of years of professional development and strategic thinking, that had occurred largely in isolation from external recognition or validation. The comprehensive market analysis, competitive positioning strategies, and integrated campaign proposals I presented demonstrated analytical sophistication that impressed even seasoned marketing professionals who had worked with established agencies throughout their careers. Jennifer's response exceeded my most optimistic expectations. The strategic framework I had developed for their launch campaign addressed market challenges that their internal team had struggled to resolve despite months of planning and consultation with traditional advertising agencies. The integrated digital approach I proposed provided comprehensive solutions that addressed brand awareness, lead generation, customer education, and sales conversion through coordinated tactics that maximized resource efficiency. More significantly, the proprietary analytics platform I had developed provided campaign measurement capabilities that would enable real-time optimization and performance tracking beyond what their existing systems could support. The technological solutions I had created while building my own business offered competitive advantages that established agencies could not provide through conventional service offerings. The validation continued through detailed discussions about implementation timelines, resource requirements, and expected outcomes. The executive team's questions revealed their appreciation for the strategic depth and operational sophistication that my proposal represented. Their interest in long-term partnership opportunities beyond the immediate project suggested recognition that my agency could provide ongoing strategic value rather than simply executing predetermined tactical plans. The contract negotiation that followed provided additional validation of my business acumen and professional capabilities. The financial terms Jennifer proposed represented premium pricing that reflected the perceived value of my strategic contributions and technological capabilities. The project's scope included advisory responsibilities that positioned me as a strategic partner rather than a tactical service provider. Most importantly, the partnership agreement included performance guarantees and outcome-based compensation structures that demonstrated confidence in my ability to deliver measurable results under competitive market conditions. The willingness to tie significant portions of the contract value to campaign performance provided compelling evidence that sophisticated industry professionals viewed my capabilities as reliable and effective. The project implementation began immediately and provided ongoing opportunities for external validation through client feedback, campaign performance metrics, and professional recognition from industry colleagues. The launch campaign I developed for Meridian achieved performance results that exceeded projected outcomes by substantial margins, while generating industry attention that led to additional client inquiries and partnership opportunities. The campaign's success attracted notice from Digital Marketing Excellence, the industry's most prestigious trade publication, which featured the Meridian launch as a case study in innovative small business marketing strategies. The article described my agency's approach as representing breakthrough thinking that challenged conventional assumptions about resource requirements and strategic complexity in competitive market environments. The publication exposure generated immediate inquiries from potential clients who had read the case study and wanted to explore similar strategic approaches for their own marketing challenges. The validation from industry media created momentum that transformed my agency from well-kept secret to recognized innovator in digital marketing strategy and implementation. But the most significant validation came through peer recognition from other marketing professionals who understood the technical and strategic sophistication required to achieve the results I had documented. The invitations to speak at industry conferences and participate in professional panels provided platforms for sharing the methodologies I had developed while establishing thought leadership credibility within the marketing community. The conference presentations I delivered throughout the following months provided opportunities for direct interaction with marketing executives, agency principals, and industry analysts who evaluated my strategic frameworks and technological solutions according to professional standards. Their feedback consistently emphasized the innovative aspects of my approaches and the practical value of the analytical tools I had developed. The professional recognition culminated in my selection for the Digital Marketing Innovation Award, presented annually by the American Marketing Association, to recognize breakthrough thinking and exceptional results in digital campaign development. The award ceremony provided formal acknowledgement of achievements that had been dismissed as computer games just months earlier. The award recognition generated additional media coverage and speaking opportunities that established my reputation as a thought leader in digital marketing strategy. The professional credibility that emerged from external validation eliminated any remaining uncertainty about the sophistication and value of the business I had built, while accepting minimization and dismissal from family members. The validation process also attracted attention from larger agencies interested in acquisition opportunities or strategic partnerships. The discussions that followed provided insights into the competitive landscape and strategic options for scaling my business beyond current operational capacity. The interest from established industry players confirmed that my agency represented genuine competitive advantages rather than temporary market anomalies. Most importantly, the external validation process demonstrated that the business success I had achieved was not dependent on supportive family relationships or social recognition. The professional community that understood digital marketing had recognized and rewarded the innovation and effectiveness that family members had dismissed as amateur hobby activities. The testing and validation period provided comprehensive evidence that my business capabilities were not only genuine, but also exceptional within the industry context. The woman who had been characterized as playing computer games had earned recognition as an innovative entrepreneur whose strategic thinking and technological solutions influenced industry best practices. The validation journey from internal discovery to external recognition had transformed my understanding of my professional identity and future possibilities. The business that Marcus had attempted to destroy represented not only financial independence, but also professional credibility that could support ambitious growth plans and industry leadership opportunities. The laptop destruction that had triggered this validation process had inadvertently eliminated the psychological barriers that had prevented me from pursuing recognition and growth opportunities that matched my actual capabilities. The external validation confirmed that the limitations I had accepted were imposed rather than inherent, and that professional success at the highest levels was not only possible but inevitable once I stopped minimizing my achievements to maintain domestic harmony. The validation period concluded with comprehensive evidence that my business represented sophisticated innovation worthy of industry recognition, premium pricing, and strategic partnerships with established organizations. The amateur computer games had evolved into professional excellence that commanded respect from industry leaders, and created opportunities for influence and growth that exceeded anything I had previously considered possible. The industry recognition and professional validation that had emerged from the Meridian Biosciences campaign created opportunities for strategic partnerships that would fundamentally transform my agency's scale and market position. The transition from individual consultant to strategic alliance leader required sophisticated business development capabilities and relationship management skills that would test my entrepreneurial vision beyond immediate service delivery and operational efficiency. The first significant alliance opportunity emerged through Dr. Patricia Chen, the former McKinsey partner who had established Catalyst Strategic Consulting as a premier management advisory firm, serving Fortune 500 clients across technology and healthcare sectors. Patricia had read the Digital Marketing Excellence case study featuring my Meridian campaign and recognized strategic alignment between her firm's analytical capabilities and my agency's digital marketing innovations. Patricia's initial contact came through a carefully worded email that suggested mutual exploration rather than traditional vendor-client relationship development. Her message indicated understanding that my agency represented sophisticated capabilities worthy of partnership consideration rather than subcontractor engagement. The distinction was significant and reflected the professional credibility that external validation had established within the consulting industry. The exploratory meeting with Patricia took place at her Manhattan offices, occupying an entire floor of a prestigious building near Central Park. The environment represented the pinnacle of professional consulting services, with conference rooms designed for strategic planning sessions with corporate executives and analytical frameworks displayed throughout common areas that demonstrated the intellectual rigor underlying their client work. Patricia's proposal represented partnership opportunities that exceeded my most ambitious projections for business development and market expansion. Catalyst Strategic had identified digital transformation as a critical capability gap in their service offerings, particularly for clients seeking comprehensive market entry strategies that integrated traditional consulting with contemporary digital marketing approaches. The strategic alliance framework Patricia proposed would position my agency as the exclusive digital marketing partner for Catalyst's client engagements, providing sophisticated analytical capabilities and implementation expertise that complemented their management consulting services. The financial arrangements included revenue-sharing agreements that could generate substantial recurring income, while maintaining my agency's operational independence and client relationship control. More importantly, the partnership would provide access to client relationships and project opportunities that individual agencies rarely encountered, regardless of their capabilities or professional reputation. Catalyst's client roster included organizations with marketing budgets that exceeded my agency's total annual revenue, creating scaling opportunities that could accelerate growth beyond anything achievable through traditional business development approaches. The due diligence process that followed demonstrated Patricia's appreciation for the business sophistication and operational capabilities that my agency had developed during years of resource-constrained growth and efficiency optimization. Her evaluation team conducted comprehensive assessments of my analytical platforms, strategic methodologies, and client performance metrics with thoroughness that validated the professional standards underlying my business operations. The partnership negotiations required strategic thinking and relationship management capabilities that extended beyond my previous experience with individual client contracts and service agreements. The alliance structure needed to address intellectual property protection, revenue allocation, operational integration, and strategic decision-making authority, while preserving the entrepreneurial flexibility that had enabled my agency's innovation and client responsiveness. The legal framework that emerged from these negotiations represented sophisticated business partnership design that protected both organizations' interests while creating collaborative structures for delivering integrated consulting services. The agreement established clear boundaries around intellectual property ownership while enabling knowledge sharing and joint capability development that would benefit both firms' client service delivery. The partnership launch generated immediate opportunities for complex engagement development that demonstrated the strategic value of alliance-based service delivery. The first joint project involved comprehensive market entry strategy for a pharmaceutical company seeking to introduce innovative treatment protocols across European markets, with regulatory complexity and competitive dynamics that required integrated analytical and implementation capabilities. The project scope included traditional management consulting elements such as market research, competitive analysis, and regulatory strategy development, combined with sophisticated digital marketing components including stakeholder engagement campaigns, healthcare provider education initiatives, and patient awareness programs that required coordination across multiple countries and languages. The successful execution of this integrated consulting engagement demonstrated capabilities that neither organization could have delivered independently, while establishing methodologies for collaborative project management that could be applied to future client opportunities. The results exceeded client expectations and generated referral business that validated the strategic alliance model for complex consulting engagements. The partnership's success attracted attention from other consulting firms seeking similar digital marketing capabilities and alliance opportunities. These discussions revealed the competitive advantages that my agency had developed through innovation and efficiency optimization, positioning me as a sought-after partner for organizations seeking to enhance their service offerings without developing internal digital marketing capabilities. The alliance-building process also created opportunities for international expansion through Patricia's established relationships with consulting firms in European and Asian markets. These partnerships could provide market access and local expertise that would enable global service delivery while maintaining operational efficiency and quality standards developed through domestic client work. The international partnership discussions required cultural sensitivity and strategic adaptation that challenged my understanding of global business development and cross-cultural relationship management. The analytical frameworks and technological solutions that had proven effective in American markets required modification and localization to address different regulatory environments, consumer behaviors, and competitive dynamics in international contexts. The strategic alliance development process revealed entrepreneurial capabilities and business vision that exceeded my previous understanding of my own potential for organizational leadership and market influence. The woman who had been dismissed as playing computer games was negotiating sophisticated partnership agreements with established consulting firms and developing strategies for international market expansion. The alliance-building phase also required team expansion and organizational development that would support collaborative project delivery while maintaining the innovative culture and operational efficiency that had enabled my agency's success. The hiring and training processes for new team members needed to address both technical capabilities and collaborative skills that would ensure effective partnership integration. The recruitment process attracted candidates with impressive credentials and diverse experience backgrounds, who were drawn to the innovative approaches and growth opportunities that the alliance partnerships represented. The team expansion enabled capability development in areas such as international market research, multilingual campaign development, and cross-cultural strategic planning that enhanced our value proposition for complex consulting engagements. The organizational development that accompanied alliance building included establishment of project management systems, quality assurance protocols, and client relationship management processes that could support simultaneous engagement delivery across multiple partnership contexts while maintaining consistent service standards and client satisfaction outcomes. The alliance building period culminated in formal partnership agreements with 3 established consulting firms across different market segments and geographic regions. These relationships created a distributed network of strategic capabilities that could address complex client challenges while providing sustained growth opportunities and market expansion potential for my agency. The partnership network also established thought leadership platforms and industry influence opportunities that positioned my agency as an innovator in integrated consulting services. The speaking engagements, publication opportunities, and conference presentations that emerged from alliance activities demonstrated strategic thinking and analytical capabilities that commanded professional respect and industry recognition. The strategic alliance network that had emerged from partnership development with Catalyst Strategic and other consulting firms created market opportunities that required comprehensive expansion planning and organizational scaling beyond anything I had previously managed. The transition from successful local agency to multi-market consulting enterprise demanded strategic vision and operational capabilities that would test my entrepreneurial leadership at levels where business decisions would influence hundreds of employees and millions of dollars in client outcomes. The expansion analysis began with systematic evaluation of market segments where my agency's digital marketing innovations and analytical capabilities could generate competitive advantages for clients operating in complex regulatory environments or highly competitive industries. The pharmaceutical and healthcare technology sectors had proven receptive to sophisticated digital strategies, but the alliance partnerships had revealed similar opportunities in financial services, advanced manufacturing, and enterprise software development. The financial services sector presented particularly compelling expansion opportunities through Patricia Chen's established relationships with investment banks and asset management firms seeking to enhance their client acquisition and retention strategies. These organizations operated under strict regulatory constraints that limited traditional marketing approaches while maintaining significant budgets for consulting services that could demonstrate measurable return on investment through compliant digital engagement strategies. The preliminary market research revealed that financial services firms were struggling to adapt their client communication strategies to younger demographics who expected sophisticated digital experiences while maintaining the trust and credibility required for high-value financial relationships. The analytical frameworks and engagement optimization tools my agency had developed for healthcare clients could address similar challenges in financial services contexts with appropriate regulatory adaptation. The opportunity assessment indicated that financial services expansion could generate annual recurring revenue exceeding $2 million within 18 months through comprehensive digital transformation consulting that addressed client acquisition, regulatory compliance, and stakeholder engagement optimization. The market size and client budgets represented scaling potential that could establish my agency among the leading digital consulting firms serving enterprise clients. The expansion planning process required organizational development that would support simultaneous service delivery across multiple industry verticals, while maintaining the innovative culture and analytical rigor that had established my agency's competitive positioning. The team structure needed to accommodate specialized expertise in different regulatory environments and industry dynamics, while preserving collaborative capabilities that enabled integrated solution development. The recruitment strategy for market expansion focused on senior consultants with established credibility in target industry sectors who could provide market access and relationship development capabilities, while contributing strategic thinking and analytical skills that aligned with my agency's methodology frameworks. The candidate evaluation process emphasized cultural fit and collaborative capabilities alongside technical expertise and industry experience. The hiring process attracted candidates with impressive backgrounds from leading consulting firms and corporate strategy departments, who were seeking entrepreneurial opportunities and innovative approaches to traditional consulting challenges. The diversity of experience and expertise among new team members created analytical capabilities that enhanced our value proposition for complex multi-industry engagements while maintaining consistent service quality standards. The organizational structure that emerged from expansion planning included specialized practice groups for different industry verticals, while maintaining integrated analytical platforms and methodology frameworks that enabled knowledge transfer and collaborative problem-solving across client engagements. The matrix structure balanced industry expertise with functional capabilities to optimize resource allocation and service delivery efficiency. The technology infrastructure required for multi-market expansion included enhanced analytical platforms that could accommodate different regulatory requirements and reporting standards while maintaining data security and client confidentiality protocols that met the highest industry standards. The platform development represented significant investment in proprietary capabilities that would differentiate my agency from competitors relying on standard software solutions. The expansion implementation began with pilot engagements in financial services that would test our analytical methodologies and service delivery capabilities, while building case studies and client references that could support broader market development. The initial projects included comprehensive digital strategy development for a regional investment firm and regulatory compliance optimization for a fintech startup seeking to expand their service offerings. The financial services pilot engagements achieved exceptional results that validated our expansion strategy and demonstrated the transferability of our analytical frameworks across different industry contexts. The investment firm engagement generated documented improvements in client acquisition costs and retention rates that exceeded projected outcomes, while maintaining full regulatory compliance throughout the implementation process. The success of these pilot projects generated referral opportunities and industry recognition that accelerated market penetration beyond initial projections. The financial services trade publications featured our regulatory-compliant digital strategies as innovative approaches to client engagement challenges, creating market awareness that attracted inquiries from larger organizations seeking similar capabilities. The manufacturing sector expansion followed similar strategic development processes with specialized focus on supply chain optimization and industrial marketing challenges that required sophisticated data analysis and stakeholder coordination capabilities. The complexity of manufacturing client relationships and longer sales cycles demanded patient relationship development and consultative approaches that demonstrated clear understanding of operational challenges and competitive dynamics. The manufacturing expansion attracted attention from organizations implementing digital transformation initiatives that required integration of marketing strategy with operational efficiency improvements and supply chain optimization. These complex engagements demanded collaborative approaches that combined my agency's analytical capabilities with specialized industrial expertise from alliance partners and consulting network relationships. The enterprise software sector presented expansion opportunities that aligned closely with my agency's technology development capabilities and analytical platform innovations. Software companies seeking to optimize their customer acquisition strategies and user engagement metrics could benefit directly from the technological solutions and methodology frameworks that had been developed through years of efficiency, optimization, and innovation under resource constraints. The software sector engagements included comprehensive user experience optimization, customer journey mapping, and predictive analytics development that generated measurable improvements in client retention and revenue growth metrics. These projects demonstrated the practical value of sophisticated analytical approaches while building case studies that could support expansion into additional technology sectors. The market expansion process also created opportunities for geographic development through alliance partnerships with consulting firms in major metropolitan areas outside the Northeast Corridor. These relationships provided local market access and cultural insights, while enabling service delivery that maintained consistent quality standards and analytical rigor across different regional business environments. The geographic expansion included strategic partnerships with consulting firms in Chicago, Atlanta, Dallas, and Seattle that could provide local relationship development and project management capabilities, while leveraging my agency's analytical platforms and methodology frameworks for client service delivery. These partnerships created distributed service capabilities that could support national client organizations with multi-location operations. The international expansion opportunities that emerged through Patricia Chen's global consulting network represented longer-term strategic possibilities that required careful market analysis and cultural adaptation planning. The European pharmaceutical and financial services markets presented compelling opportunities for sophisticated digital consulting services, but required regulatory expertise and cultural sensitivity that would demand significant investment in local partnership development. The expansion planning process revealed entrepreneurial capabilities and strategic vision that exceeded my previous understanding of my potential for organizational leadership and market influence. The systematic approach to market development and partnership building demonstrated business acumen that had been developed through years of resource optimization and strategic problem-solving under competitive pressure. The comprehensive expansion strategy that emerged from this planning process positioned my agency for sustainable growth that could generate annual revenue exceeding $10 million within 3 years, while maintaining the innovative culture and analytical excellence that had established our competitive differentiation. The market opportunities across multiple industry verticals and geographic regions provided diversification that would ensure continued growth, regardless of economic fluctuations or industry-specific challenges. The expansion implementation required project management capabilities and organizational coordination that tested my leadership development, while creating opportunities for team members to develop advanced skills and assume increased responsibilities within the growing enterprise. The collaborative culture that had emerged during agency development provided the foundation for scaling that maintained service quality while accommodating rapid growth and market diversification. The market expansion strategy represented transformation from individual entrepreneur to enterprise leader, managing complex organizations and strategic partnerships that influenced industry standards and client outcomes across multiple sectors. The woman who had been dismissed as playing computer games was developing business capabilities and market influence that exceeded the achievements of established consulting firms with decades of industry experience and significantly larger resource bases. The rapid expansion and industry recognition that had elevated my agency from local consultant to multi-market enterprise inevitably attracted scrutiny from established consulting firms who viewed our growth trajectory as a competitive threat to their market positioning and client relationships. The resistance that emerged challenged not only our business development strategies, but also the fundamental assumptions about expertise, credibility, and market entry that had enabled our unprecedented success in traditionally closed professional services sectors. The first significant resistance came from Harrison McKenzie Global, one of the most prestigious management consulting firms, serving Fortune 500 clients across the financial services and healthcare industries. Their senior partners had observed our successful engagements with their former clients and recognized that our integrated digital consulting approach was generating superior results while charging premium fees that exceeded their traditional service pricing models. The challenge emerged during a competitive proposal process for comprehensive digital transformation consulting with Meridian Financial Group, a mid-sized investment management firm seeking innovative approaches to client acquisition and retention optimization. Harrison McKenzie had maintained relationships with Meridian leadership for more than 15 years, and expected routine contract renewal for strategic consulting services that had generated modest improvements in operational efficiency. The proposal presentation that I delivered to Meridian's executive committee represented the culmination of strategic thinking and analytical sophistication that had been developing through years of client engagement and methodology refinement. The comprehensive digital transformation framework addressed client relationship optimization, regulatory compliance automation, and predictive analytics implementation through integrated approaches that would generate measurable return on investment while maintaining the trust and credibility required for high-value financial relationships. The Harrison McKenzie response to our proposal revealed the depth of industry resistance to innovative approaches that challenged established consulting methodologies and competitive positioning. Their counter-proposal emphasized their decades of experience and established relationships while dismissing our digital marketing innovations as unproven methodologies that lacked the strategic depth required for complex financial services consulting. The competitive dynamics that followed tested our ability to defend analytical rigor and demonstrate practical value against arguments based on institutional credibility and historical precedent. The established consulting industry operated under assumptions that expertise was primarily determined by organizational size, client tenure, and partner credentials, rather than innovative thinking and measurable results. The challenge required strategic positioning that acknowledged the value of experience while demonstrating that innovation and analytical sophistication could generate superior outcomes for clients facing contemporary market challenges. The presentation materials I developed for the competitive review process included comprehensive case studies that documented measurable improvements achieved through our integrated digital approaches, while maintaining full compliance with regulatory requirements and industry standards. The validation came through detailed analysis of client outcomes that demonstrated superior performance metrics across all relevant categories, including cost efficiency, implementation timelines, and sustained results over extended evaluation periods. The data-driven comparison revealed that our innovative methodologies consistently outperform traditional consulting approaches while requiring fewer resources and generating faster implementation timelines. The Meridian financial engagement decision represented a significant victory that validated our competitive positioning against established industry leaders, while demonstrating that sophisticated clients could recognize the practical value of innovative approaches over institutional credentials. The contract award provided credibility that would influence future competitive situations and establish precedents for evaluation criteria that emphasized results over reputation. The industry resistance intensified following the Meridian success as established consulting firms recognized that our competitive advantages represented systematic threats to their market positioning rather than isolated client decisions. The response included coordinated efforts to question our expertise through professional association channels and industry publications that traditionally reinforced established competitive hierarchies. The professional association challenges required strategic response that demonstrated our analytical rigor and methodology sophistication, while maintaining collaborative relationships with industry colleagues who might eventually become alliance partners or referral sources. The approach balanced confident defense of our capabilities with respectful acknowledgement of the contributions that established firms had made to consulting industry development. The industry publication disputes provided opportunities for thought leadership that positioned our innovative approaches as evolutionary developments, rather than revolutionary challenges to established practices. The articles I published in Digital Consulting Quarterly and Strategic Management Review emphasized collaborative frameworks that could integrate traditional consulting strengths with contemporary digital capabilities. The thought leadership strategy generated positive responses from industry professionals who recognized the potential value of integrating traditional strategic thinking with sophisticated digital implementation capabilities. The collaborative positioning attracted interest from established consulting firms seeking partnership opportunities rather than viewing our growth as competitive threat to their market positions. The partnership discussions that emerged from thought leadership activities demonstrated that industry resistance could be transformed into collaboration opportunities through strategic positioning and relationship development. The established firms that initially viewed our innovations as threats began exploring alliance possibilities that could enhance their service offerings while leveraging our analytical capabilities and digital expertise. The collaboration framework that developed addressed industry concerns about market disruption while creating value-added opportunities for traditional consulting firms seeking to enhance their digital capabilities without developing internal expertise or technology platforms. The alliance structures enabled established firms to offer integrated services while maintaining their client relationships and strategic positioning. The industry resistance also manifested through regulatory and professional certification challenges that questioned our qualifications for complex financial services and healthcare consulting engagements. The credentialing requirements that had been established to protect client interests were being used to limit market access for innovative firms that lacked traditional institutional development pathways. The regulatory challenges required comprehensive documentation of our analytical methodologies and quality assurance protocols while demonstrating compliance with professional standards that had been developed for traditional consulting approaches. The certification processes provided opportunities to showcase the sophistication of our proprietary platforms and methodology frameworks while establishing precedents for alternative credentialing pathways. The successful navigation of regulatory requirements demonstrated that innovation and professional standards were compatible rather than conflicting priorities. The certifications we achieved provided formal recognition of our analytical capabilities while establishing credibility that could address client concerns about working with non-traditional consulting providers. The industry resistance ultimately strengthened our competitive positioning by forcing systematic documentation of our analytical capabilities and strategic methodologies. The challenges that were intended to limit our market access actually provided opportunities to demonstrate superiority of our approaches while building credibility through rigorous evaluation processes. The transformation of industry resistance into collaborative partnerships represented strategic achievement that exceeded initial market penetration goals while establishing sustainable competitive advantages. The established consulting firms that had initially viewed our growth as threatening their market positions became strategic allies who could provide market access and relationship development while benefiting from our innovative capabilities. The resistance period also accelerated our team development and organizational maturity as we responded to sophisticated challenges from industry leaders, while maintaining service quality and client satisfaction outcomes. The adversarial environment forced strategic thinking and professional communication that enhanced our capabilities while building confidence in our competitive positioning. The industry recognition that emerged from successful resistance management positioned our agency as a thought leader whose innovative approaches influenced industry best practices, rather than challenging established competitive structures. The collaborative relationships that developed provided sustainable market access while maintaining our analytical independence and innovative culture. The resistance period concluded with formal recognition from the Management Consulting Institute, which acknowledged our contributions to digital consulting methodology development and strategic integration approaches. The professional recognition provided validation that transformed previous skepticism into industry respect while establishing thought leadership credibility. The overcoming of industry resistance demonstrated that innovative approaches could gain acceptance and recognition within established professional communities through strategic positioning, analytical rigor, and collaborative relationship development. The challenges that initially appeared to limit our market access ultimately provided opportunities for credibility development and competitive differentiation that strengthened our long-term strategic positioning. The woman who had been dismissed as playing computer games had successfully challenged industry assumptions while building collaborative relationships with established consulting firms and achieving formal recognition as a thought leader whose innovations influenced industry standards and best practices. The transformation of industry resistance into collaborative partnerships had generated revenue growth that exceeded my most ambitious financial projections and established sustainable income streams that eliminated any remaining economic dependencies on my marriage or external validation. The comprehensive business analysis that I conducted during the third quarter revealed that my agency had achieved annual recurring revenue of $4.7 million with net profit margins averaging 46%, creating personal income that exceeded seven figures while maintaining robust reinvestment in technology development and team expansion. The financial milestone represented more than economic success. The achievement confirmed that the business capabilities I had developed through years of minimization and dismissal were generating wealth accumulation that provided complete freedom to pursue professional goals without regard for approval from family members or social validation from people who had never understood the sophistication of my work. The computer games that Marcus had attempted to destroy had evolved into an enterprise that generated monthly income exceeding his annual consulting revenue. The wealth accumulation analysis revealed diversified asset development that extended beyond immediate business income to include intellectual property licensing, strategic investment positions, and real estate holdings that had been acquired through systematic financial planning and disciplined capital allocation. The comprehensive financial portfolio represented security and independence that eliminated any practical necessity for maintaining relationships that required subordination of my professional ambitions or acceptance of destructive responses to my success. The intellectual property portfolio had emerged as a particularly valuable component of my financial position through licensing agreements with other consulting firms and technology companies, seeking to implement the analytical frameworks and methodology innovations that my team had developed. The proprietary platforms that had been dismissed as amateur computer activities were generating recurring licensing revenue exceeding $800,000 annually, while providing strategic advantages that enhanced our competitive positioning in primary consulting markets. The real estate investments had been developed through systematic acquisition of commercial properties in emerging technology corridors, where my market analysis indicated strong appreciation potential driven by demographic trends and infrastructure development. The property portfolio included office buildings, research facilities, and mixed-use developments that generated rental income while building equity through strategic improvement and professional management. The investment strategy had been informed by the same analytical rigor and strategic thinking that had enabled my consulting business success. With comprehensive market research and risk assessment protocols that identified opportunities with favorable risk-return profiles and long-term appreciation potential. The systematic approach to wealth building had generated returns that consistently exceeded market benchmarks, while maintaining diversification that protected against sector-specific economic fluctuations. The financial independence milestone had arrived 18 months earlier than my original projections, accelerated by the strategic alliance partnerships and industry recognition that had expanded market opportunities beyond initial planning assumptions. The achievement represented validation that the strategic planning and systematic execution capabilities I had developed through business building could generate outcomes that exceeded conventional expectations and established new possibilities for professional development and personal fulfillment. The wealth accumulation had also created opportunities for strategic philanthropy and social impact investment that aligned with my values, while generating additional financial returns through careful selection of organizations and initiatives that addressed systemic challenges through innovative approaches and measurable outcomes. The charitable giving strategy included education initiatives that supported entrepreneurship development and technology access programs that enabled underrepresented communities to develop digital literacy and business capabilities. The philanthropic activities provided personal satisfaction while creating tax advantages and network development opportunities that enhanced my professional relationships and industry influence. The strategic approach to giving demonstrated the same analytical sophistication that had characterized my business development, with comprehensive evaluation of recipient organizations and systematic measurement of impact outcomes that ensured efficient allocation of charitable resources. The financial independence achievement had eliminated the practical constraints that had previously limited my strategic thinking about business development and personal goals. The economic security provided freedom to pursue high-risk, high-reward opportunities that might not generate immediate income, but offered potential for significant long-term impact and industry influence. The wealth accumulation enabled patient capital deployment and strategic investment in emerging technologies and innovative business models that aligned with my analytical capabilities and market insights. The independence also created opportunities for international expansion and cross-cultural business development that required substantial upfront investment and extended development timelines. The financial resources enabled market entry strategies in European and Asian consulting markets through strategic partnerships and joint venture development that could establish global service capabilities while leveraging local expertise and relationship networks. The global expansion planning revealed additional opportunities for wealth diversification through international investment and currency hedging strategies that could protect against domestic economic volatility while capitalizing on emerging market growth opportunities. The international financial planning required sophisticated risk management and regulatory compliance that challenged my analytical capabilities while creating learning opportunities that enhanced my strategic thinking and business development skills. The achievement of financial independence also transformed my approach to client relationships and project selection, enabling focus on engagements that offered strategic learning opportunities and industry influence rather than immediate revenue maximization. The economic freedom allowed selective engagement with clients whose challenges aligned with my analytical interests and methodology development goals, while maintaining premium pricing that reflected the value of sophisticated strategic thinking and proven implementation capabilities. The selective client strategy had resulted in portfolio concentration among industry leaders whose success stories could influence competitive dynamics and establish market precedents that favored innovative consulting approaches over traditional institutional relationships. The case studies that emerged from these selective engagements provided compelling evidence of superior outcomes that attracted additional premium clients while building thought leadership credibility that commanded higher fees and more interesting project opportunities. The financial independence milestone had arrived during a period when Marcus remained unaware of the true scope of my business success and wealth accumulation. The systematic minimization of my achievements that had characterized our marriage dynamics meant that he continued to view my work as supplementary household income, rather than recognizing the enterprise value and financial independence that had been developing for years, while he struggled to maintain consistency in his own consulting practice. The disconnect between his perception and my financial reality had grown increasingly profound as my wealth accumulation accelerated through strategic partnerships and market expansion, while his business remained constrained by traditional approaches and limited client relationships. The irony of his continued dismissive attitudes toward my computer activities, while depending on income generated by those activities for lifestyle maintenance, had become impossible to ignore or rationalize. The financial independence achievement provided clarity about the fundamental incompatibility between maintaining my marriage and pursuing the business growth and personal fulfillment that my capabilities could support. The economic security eliminated any practical necessity for accepting minimization or destructive responses to my professional success, while creating opportunities for pursuing relationships and environments that recognized and supported my potential, rather than attempting to control or limit it. The wealth accumulation had also created legal advantages for divorce proceedings through careful asset protection planning and strategic structuring of business ownership and intellectual property rights. The financial independence enabled engagement of premier legal counsel and comprehensive litigation support that could protect my interests, while ensuring favorable outcomes in asset division and support obligation determinations. The systematic financial planning that had accompanied business development included anticipation of potential divorce complications and strategic preparation for protecting business assets and intellectual property from claims that might emerge from spouses who had contributed minimally to wealth creation, while benefiting substantially from the success they had dismissed or attempted to control. The financial independence achievement represented transformation from economic dependency to complete autonomy that eliminated external constraints on my professional and personal decision-making. The wealth accumulation provided security and flexibility that enabled pursuit of ambitious goals, while maintaining the analytical sophistication and strategic thinking that had generated success despite years of minimization and dismissal from people who had never understood or appreciated my capabilities. The woman who had been characterized as playing computer games had achieved financial independence that exceeded the net worth of established professionals, with decades of conventional career development, while building business capabilities and industry influence that commanded respect from sophisticated clients and industry leaders who understood the value of innovation and analytical excellence. The financial independence and market recognition that had established my agency as a significant force in digital consulting created organizational challenges that required fundamental transformation from individual expertise to systematic leadership development. The evolution from successful entrepreneur to enterprise leader demanded capabilities in talent acquisition, organizational culture design, and strategic delegation that would test my ability to scale impact beyond personal involvement, while maintaining the analytical rigor and innovative thinking that had generated our competitive advantages. The expansion planning that emerged from financial security analysis indicated potential for doubling our service capacity within 18 months through strategic team development and operational systematization. However, achieving this growth would require recruiting exceptional talent who could contribute to our analytical sophistication, while embracing the collaborative culture and innovative methodologies that distinguished our approach from traditional consulting services. The talent acquisition strategy focused on senior professionals with established credibility in target industry sectors who possessed both technical expertise and strategic thinking capabilities that aligned with our methodology frameworks. The recruitment process emphasized cultural alignment and intellectual curiosity alongside proven track records and professional credentials that would enhance our client credibility and service delivery capabilities. The executive search process revealed the competitive advantages that our organizational culture and growth trajectory provided in attracting high-caliber candidates who were seeking entrepreneurial environments that could utilize their capabilities more effectively than traditional consulting firm hierarchies. The opportunity to contribute to innovative methodologies and participate in rapid growth attracted candidates who valued intellectual challenge and professional development over conventional career progression structures. The recruitment success included 3 senior consulting directors from McKinsey, Bain, and Boston Consulting Group who brought established client relationships and strategic thinking capabilities while embracing our digital innovation and analytical sophistication. Their transition to our organization provided immediate credibility with Fortune 500 clients, while contributing decades of strategic consulting experience that enhanced our service delivery sophistication. The integration of senior talent required organizational structure development that balanced entrepreneurial flexibility with professional standards and systematic processes that could support complex client engagements while maintaining quality consistency across all service delivery. The management framework that emerged preserved our innovative culture while establishing accountability systems and performance measurement protocols that aligned individual contributions with organizational objectives. The leadership development process revealed capabilities in organizational design and team motivation that exceeded my previous understanding of my potential for enterprise management and strategic vision implementation. The systematic approach to talent development and performance optimization generated team engagement and productivity outcomes that validated the effectiveness of collaborative leadership methods over traditional hierarchical management approaches. The team-building initiatives included comprehensive training programs that transferred our proprietary methodologies and analytical frameworks to new team members, while encouraging their contributions to methodology refinement and innovation development. The knowledge transfer processes created systematic documentation of our strategic approaches while building organizational capabilities that could maintain service quality during rapid expansion. The mentorship programs that emerged from leadership development activities provided structured guidance for junior team members, while creating advancement pathways that retained talented professionals through meaningful career development opportunities. The systematic approach to professional development generated exceptional retention rates while building internal capabilities that reduced dependence on external recruitment for specialized expertise. The organizational culture development required intentional design of values, practices, and communication systems that could preserve our collaborative innovation while accommodating growth that would inevitably create complexity and coordination challenges. The culture framework emphasized intellectual curiosity, analytical rigor, client focus, and collaborative problem-solving, while maintaining flexibility and adaptability that enabled rapid response to market opportunities. The performance management systems that supported leadership development included objective measurement criteria that evaluated both individual contributions and collaborative effectiveness, while providing feedback mechanisms that enabled continuous improvement and professional development. The systematic approach to performance evaluation created accountability while supporting the collaborative culture that had enabled our analytical innovations. The delegation strategies that became necessary during organizational expansion required careful analysis of decision-making authority and responsibility allocation that could maintain service quality while enabling team members to develop leadership capabilities through increased autonomy and strategic involvement. The systematic delegation processes created scalability while preserving the client relationships and analytical standards that had established our market positioning. The team expansion also created opportunities for specialized expertise development in emerging technology areas, such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and predictive analytics that could enhance our service offerings, while positioning our agency at the forefront of consulting industry evolution. The investment in advanced analytical capabilities represented strategic positioning for future market opportunities while creating competitive advantages that would sustain our growth trajectory. The international team development that accompanied global expansion required cross-cultural leadership capabilities and communication systems that could maintain organizational cohesion while accommodating diverse perspectives and regional market requirements. The systematic approach to international team integration created operational consistency while leveraging local expertise that enhanced our service delivery in different cultural contexts. The leadership development process also included strategic partnerships with executive education programs at leading business schools that provided ongoing professional development opportunities for team members, while creating relationships with academic institutions that could contribute to our research and methodology development initiatives. The systematic approach to continuous learning created organizational capabilities that supported innovation while maintaining industry credibility. The team-building success generated recognition from consulting industry publications that featured our organizational development as innovative approaches to talent retention and productivity optimization in professional services environments. The external recognition of our leadership methodologies created additional credibility while attracting inquiries from other consulting firms seeking guidance on organizational culture development and team performance optimization. The management framework that emerged preserved our innovative culture, while establishing accountability systems and performance measurement protocols that aligned individual contributions with organizational objectives. The leadership development process revealed capabilities in organizational design and team motivation that exceeded my previous understanding of my potential for enterprise management and strategic vision implementation. The systematic approach to talent development and performance optimization generated team engagement and productivity outcomes that validated the effectiveness of collaborative leadership methods over traditional hierarchical management approaches. The team-building initiatives included comprehensive training programs that transferred our proprietary methodologies and analytical frameworks to new team members, while encouraging their contributions to methodology refinement and innovation development. The knowledge transfer processes created systematic documentation of our strategic approaches while building organizational capabilities that could maintain service quality during rapid expansion. The mentorship programs that emerged from leadership development activities provided structured guidance for junior team members while creating advancement pathways that retained talented professionals through meaningful career development opportunities. The systematic approach to professional development generated exceptional retention rates while building internal capabilities that reduced dependence on external recruitment for specialized expertise. The organizational culture development required intentional design of values, practices, and communication systems that could preserve our collaborative innovation while accommodating growth that would inevitably create complexity and coordination challenges. The culture framework emphasized intellectual curiosity, analytical rigor, client focus, and collaborative problem-solving while maintaining flexibility and adaptability that enabled rapid response to market opportunities. The performance management systems that supported leadership development included objective measurement criteria that evaluated both individual contributions and collaborative effectiveness while providing feedback mechanisms that enabled continuous improvement and professional development. The systematic approach to performance evaluation created accountability while supporting the collaborative culture that had enabled our analytical innovations. The delegation strategies that became necessary during organizational expansion required careful analysis of decision-making authority and responsibility allocation that could maintain service quality while enabling team members to develop leadership capabilities through increased autonomy and strategic involvement. The systematic delegation processes created scalability while preserving the client relationships and analytical standards that had established our market positioning. The team expansion also created opportunities for specialized expertise development in emerging technology areas, such as artificial intelligence, machine learning, and predictive analytics, that could enhance our service offerings while positioning our agency at the forefront of consulting industry evolution. The investment in advanced analytical capabilities represented strategic positioning for future market opportunities, while creating competitive advantages that would sustain our growth trajectory. The international team development that accompanied global expansion required cross-cultural leadership capabilities and communication systems that could maintain organizational cohesion while accommodating diverse perspectives and regional market requirements. This systematic approach to international team integration created operational consistency while leveraging local expertise that enhanced our service delivery in different cultural contexts. The leadership development process also included strategic partnerships with executive education programs at leading business schools that provided ongoing professional development opportunities for team members, while creating relationships with academic institutions that could contribute to our research and methodology development initiatives. The systematic approach to continuous learning created organizational capabilities that supported innovation while maintaining industry credibility. The team-building success generated recognition from consulting industry publications that featured our organizational development as innovative approaches to talent retention and productivity optimization in professional services environments. The external recognition of our leadership methodologies created additional credibility while attracting inquiries from other consulting firms seeking guidance on organizational culture development and team performance optimization. The management consulting industry analysis that accompanied our organizational development revealed that traditional consulting firms were struggling with talent retention and cultural adaptation challenges that our systematic approach to leadership development had successfully addressed. The competitive advantages that emerged from effective team building created market differentiation that enhanced our client value proposition while supporting premium pricing strategies. The succession planning that became necessary as organizational complexity increased required systematic documentation of strategic decision-making processes and client relationship management systems that could ensure continuity during leadership transitions or expansion into new market segments. The succession frameworks created organizational resilience while providing advancement opportunities that motivated exceptional performance from senior team members. The leadership development achievements also created opportunities for thought leadership in organizational management and team-building methodologies that could be shared through speaking engagements and publication opportunities, while enhancing our reputation as innovators in consulting industry practices. The systematic approach to sharing our organizational development insights created additional revenue streams while establishing our agency as a thought leader in professional services management. The team-building and leadership development period concluded with organizational capabilities that could support annual revenue growth exceeding $8 million, while maintaining the analytical sophistication and client satisfaction outcomes that had established our competitive positioning. The systematic approach to talent development and organizational design had created scalable growth capabilities that eliminated constraints on market expansion and strategic opportunity pursuit. The transformation from individual entrepreneur to enterprise leader, managing sophisticated organizational capabilities, demonstrated business acumen and strategic vision that exceeded conventional expectations for professionals who had developed their expertise outside traditional institutional pathways. The woman who had been dismissed as playing computer games had built leadership capabilities and organizational systems that influenced industry best practices while generating exceptional business outcomes through systematic talent development and collaborative culture design. The organizational excellence and market leadership that had emerged from systematic team building and strategic expansion generated unprecedented recognition from the digital consulting industry that positioned my agency as a transformative force influencing best practices and competitive standards across multiple professional sectors. The formal acknowledgement of our analytical innovations and client outcomes exceeded conventional industry recognition patterns and established thought leadership credibility that commanded global attention and strategic partnership opportunities. The cornerstone recognition arrived through selection as the Digital Consulting Executive of the Year by the International Association of Management Consultants, an honor that had previously been awarded exclusively to senior partners from established multinational consulting firms with decades of institutional development and extensive global operations. The selection committee specifically cited our proprietary analytical methodologies and measurable client outcomes as revolutionary contributions that had redefined industry standards for digital transformation consulting across complex regulatory environments. The award ceremony took place at the Global Consulting Summit in Geneva, attended by more than 800 senior executives from leading consulting firms worldwide. The keynote presentation that accompanied my recognition provided a platform for sharing the strategic frameworks and analytical innovations that had generated our exceptional client results, while challenging conventional assumptions about expertise development and competitive advantage creation in professional services markets. The presentation response exceeded all expectations for industry engagement and strategic dialogue. The audience of seasoned consulting professionals demonstrated extraordinary interest in our methodology frameworks and expressed recognition that our systematic approaches to digital integration and performance optimization represented significant advances over traditional consulting methodologies. The post-presentation discussions revealed widespread industry appreciation for innovations that had been dismissed as amateur computer activities just 3 years earlier. The Geneva presentation generated immediate invitations for additional speaking engagements at prestigious industry conferences throughout North America and Europe. The speaking opportunities included the Harvard Business School Digital Strategy Conference, the McKinsey Global Institute Technology Summit, and the London School of Economics Advanced Management Program, each providing platforms for sharing our analytical insights with audiences of senior executives and academic thought leaders. The academic recognition that accompanied industry awards created opportunities for research collaboration and methodology documentation that could influence curriculum development and professional education standards in leading business schools worldwide. The systematic approach to knowledge transfer through educational partnerships represented strategic positioning for long-term influence on consulting industry development while creating additional revenue streams through executive education and professional certification programs. The publication opportunities that emerged from industry recognition included featured articles in Harvard Business Review, McKinsey Quarterly, and Strategy Plus Business, that documented our analytical frameworks and client outcomes while establishing thought leadership credibility with global audiences of senior executives and strategic decision-makers. The editorial collaboration with leading business publications provided platforms for systematic explanation of our innovations while building professional reputation that attracted premium client opportunities. The Harvard Business Review article that detailed our integrated approach to digital transformation consulting became the most read strategy article of the year and generated global discussion about the evolution of consulting methodologies in technology-driven business environments. The article response included translation into 12 languages and widespread citation in academic research and industry analysis reports that validated our contributions to professional knowledge development. The research initiatives that accompanied publication activities included systematic documentation of our analytical methodologies through white papers and case study development that could provide other consulting professionals with frameworks for implementing similar approaches while maintaining appropriate intellectual property protection. The research publication strategy created thought leadership credibility while generating licensing opportunities for methodology applications across different market segments. The industry influence expanded through invitation to serve on advisory boards for professional associations and technology companies, seeking strategic guidance on digital consulting market development and competitive positioning. The advisory roles provided additional credibility while creating opportunities for market intelligence gathering and strategic relationship development that enhanced our competitive advantages and expansion opportunities. The advisory board participation included the Digital Marketing Association Standards Committee, the Management Consulting Institute Research Council, and the Technology Industry Strategic Planning Group, each providing platforms for influencing industry standards and best practices while building relationships with other thought leaders and strategic decision-makers across multiple professional sectors. The mentorship opportunities that emerged from industry recognition created systematic programs for supporting other consulting professionals, seeking to develop innovative approaches and build strategic capabilities that could enhance their competitive positioning and client value creation. The mentorship activities provided personal satisfaction while building professional networks that supported collaborative opportunities and referral business development. The executive coaching initiatives that accompanied thought leadership activities included comprehensive programs for supporting senior executives and client organizations, seeking to develop strategic thinking capabilities and analytical sophistication that could enhance their decision-making effectiveness and organizational performance. The coaching services provided premium revenue streams while building deeper client relationships that supported long-term strategic partnerships. The international recognition that accompanied domestic industry awards created opportunities for global influence through consulting market development initiatives in emerging economies, where digital transformation consulting represented significant growth opportunities, but lacked established service providers with proven methodologies and analytical capabilities. The global expansion opportunities included strategic partnerships with economic development organizations and government agencies, seeking to enhance their domestic consulting capabilities through knowledge transfer and professional development programs that could accelerate economic growth while building sustainable consulting industry infrastructure in developing markets. Up next, you've got two more standout stories right on your screen. If this one hit the mark, you won't want to pass these up. Just click and check them out. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upload from us.